G'day guys, welcome back. Well, here's the video that I've been getting busted up for a long time to do, and it is the rundown of my Evo 6, where are we? Somewhere here in the background, that we'd set up for tarmac rallies and hill climbs here in Adelaide. Unfortunately though, this is the last video we'll have of the car because the car's just been sold to a Adelaide purchaser who continues to use it. Unfortunately, it's just timing for me at the moment. We'll be back in about 12 to 18 months with a new car, something a bit newer than this. But yeah, we've just got to wait for the years to open up for the class to be able to allow it. Other than that, I thought what a perfect time as a last send-off and the last hurrah to run you through the car, show you a bit, show you some specs, show you some of the hidden setups, and we'll go from there. All right, enjoy. Alright guys, well let's start with the facts. So, 1999 Mitsubishi Evo 6 was imported into Australia about 7 years ago. From there it's had two owners. I purchased it off the last one in Melbourne. He used it for some street duties. His family was expanding, and from there that's where I had the opportunity to purchase the car. Now, in my hunt for the car back in 2017, there were a few things that had to tick the box, and that's why we ended up with this car how it was. So it needed a lot of TLC. There was broken bushes throughout the whole car, mismatched coilovers, big leaks, overheating. So it really did need a good birthday inside and out. So it started as the perfect base for this car, because it was never going to be a street car, never going to be anything like that. It was always going to turn into a dedicated tarmac rally car. And that's why the price was good. The condition was bearable because we were going to fix most of those parts anyway. And that's where we went from there. So let's start with the outside of the car, and I'll walk you around the car and go through some specs. And if there's any other questions, guys, drop a comment down below. I'll answer them in a timely manner for you, but hopefully we can cover everything through this video. So on the outside here, we've tried to keep it very minimalistic and very to the theme of the 90s Evos and rally teams, and everything was less is more. So that's why I had a friend put together a bit of a livery for it to kind of represent something similar to what Mitsubishi would have used back in the 90s. That's why the wheel choice is what it is. And that's why you'll find a couple of little stickers here and there that give away that as well. But let's walk around the car and I'll go through some of the outside stuff to start with. All right, let's start at the front. Now, the wheel choice, to all the hardcore JDM fans out here, this is pretty bread and butter stuff. Genuine TE 37s in a 17 by 8.5 plus 30s on the front. Now, underneath they are housing a 6-piston wheelwood caliper with actually just come back from BRM because it was setting up for Adelaide Rally. So the new owner of this car has actually been gifted a set of brand new AP floating 330mm rotors and PMU race pads in the front and braided brake lines to suit, along with Ray's Motorsport wheel nuts. All right, let's match up the rear set then. We'll cruise across. All right, guys, so on the rear, same deal as the front. T37 17 by 8.5 plus 30, so it's a square set. From there, running 255 section rubber all round. Now, on the rear, the brakes are marginally smaller. They are still the Willwood big brake kit. From there, they are a 4-piston caliper, and they run AP pads. And the rear rotor is a floating AP rotor, but same size as the front. in being 330 mils. Now, not really much else to report with styling on the car wise. I mean, obviously the livery, all the sponsors on the car, a few little details. So genuine Lunar Sport window vents from Japan, rare as hen's teeth. So the new owner, obviously, if he understands what they are, he'll want to keep them in good condition. Carbon Group A mirrors, just to keep with a little bit of styling change on the rear. If we go around to the front now, genuine RS fog light covers for the front. Amber corners, because as well, being Evo 6, most of them were predominantly clear corners, so the amber really does just bring some nice colour to the front. Aero carbon latches. And then from there, we've had the Nasdaq Hydra dripped, and then from there as well, we've had the bonnet vents as well as the covers underneath all done the same. Now, I thought I'd take you into the inside and show you what the inside of what a race car looks like. From here, nothing left of the interior. Yes, I was ultra lazy not to paint the floor, for some of you guys noticing on the attention to detail. Getting to my first event a couple of years ago, I was in a rush, painted the cage, should have got the floor done. It would have taken an extra 5 minutes and made it look a bit nicer, but here we are. From here, full tarmac rally cage done by Adelaide Motorsport Fabrication here in Adelaide. The only ones that have touched my cars over the year when it comes to fab work, and their attention to detail with these things is absolutely outstanding. It was a pretty big process for the cage. I mean, had to make sure we fit in there, get the seats, and make sure it's suited. So from there, the two front seats. From Autosport here in Adelaide, everyone that's in motorsport here in Australia knows that company very well. They have a range of seats they make virtually in-house, and they are Velos. I've only ever used Velos, so it was only fitting that they were to go into this car. They are a Velo Apex. The front driver's one you see in front of you is a standard fit, where the second one is actually a custom fit from their standard shell pumped hips, just so it can cater for any co-driver that sits into the car. From there, it's running Velo 6-point harnesses with bridging down to being able to go over the Hans device. A little homemade drink setup there, you see. The cord hanging down is actually for the Stilo WRC comm setup there. And then from here, I'll show you the front. You don't really see much, but Nardi wheel. That wheel actually is a bit of history for me. That wheel has been with me for 13 years now. And it's gone from car to car, and unfortunately going with this one. So a bit of a sad moment, but I'm sure we'll have time to get another one. Cruising across to the back here, purely just for me, not for anyone else, but steering spacer out of the UK, plus a Lifeline Group N quick release. The steering spacer more so purely for how I like to have the wheel in my driving position. Was just a little bit out of reach with comfort level. Swing across to the dash. To minimise all the gauges, I've gone for a Defi ZD Club Sport kit. It's about 5 gauges in one, lap timer, digital speedo, the works. So it's just nice and easy to have there on your dash. Also, it's got a built-in shift light as well. The only thing they don't do is boost measurement with vacuum. So we've got a old school Apexi boost gauge there on the dash. Not that you look at it much, but more so for tuning side of things. Cruising across here to the center of the car. Rally Art gear knob from Japan. Tire Dog digital tire pressure monitoring system. Now, this is actually something that's come in really handy because on the fly, you can see where your temperatures are at. You can set base temperatures, highest temperatures, everything. Like, you've got so much room for adjustment and warning there, so you don't really have to get out your car and check it as much as I notice in some of the other rally cars I see on the scene do. From there, AME wideband O2 sensor, pretty much a staple for any Evo with how rich and lean they can run. Other than that, yes, it still does have factory aircon and climate control. Yes, the rear aircons, the side aircon vents, sorry, are missing. But it was either get rid of the aircon or I lose 10 kilos for the race. So first race, so I lost 10 kilos, and two vents make a hell of a lot of a difference when you're transitioning between the stages. Just to bang it on and just reduce that temperature inside the car. Other than that, nothing really else to see, bar some harness cutters, the OK and SOS board there, and just a lot of wiring for the WRC intercom that's all tied up there, plus a GoPro audio wire. Come around to the side here, and then obviously my in-car GoPro, another GoPro 8 Black, with actually a really cool little mount there from a local designer and someone that's been amongst the car scene here in Australia for a long, long time. Mark Boxer has designed his own little mount because he got sick of everything else. This is called a 3-footed monster. Now, guys, that's running 3 little magnets that are all protected, go onto any little surface, and pretty much can come off unscathed. So you can put it on the outside of your car, inside, wherever. I never had a GoPro mount put on this cage, so having that little flat space there and that to fit on there has been absolutely ideal. And you'll see in some of the footage I'll upload, or that's been on the channel, you can't even tell that it's free mounted like that. You'd think it'd be something that's fixed. A lot of adjustment, can fit all attachments on it as well as if you want to put your phone on it as well. There's different sizes all the way up to holding monster cameras, lights, everything. So if you go across to the Hoon TV site, either on their social media or 3-footed monster on social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, have a check them out. And guys, get around this local company. It's just an amazing little product that we haven't seen before. So now I've got 2 of them. I run one inside the car, and then I've got one for either if I just run bonnet shots or something like that outside the car. But yeah, they've made my life a hell of a lot easier. All right, well, now let's go around to the engine of the car and see what's under the hood. I'll just give that a bit of a pop. All right, now let's have a talk about engine, gearbox, diff, things you won't really see from outside the car. Okay, so this car's done 175,000 Ks that are genuine. From there, unopened motor and factory rear diff as well, and rear diff setup. I know a lot of guys go RS in the rear end, but I hadn't got to that stage yet. The motor still holds good compression, so there's no reason to change it. My outlook was to do something very simple, budget-friendly for this car, so I could get out there, have some fun, and just improve on my driving. But it's obviously had to have some health things done along the way, like brand new Evo 9 timing belt, all your tensioners, your pulley covers, water pump. All these things had to get done, obviously, as a part, especially if you're going motorsport racing with an older engine. You just can't take those risks without doing the minimal things. Factory turbo as well, and it's the same turbo that's been on the car since day one, except for it's got a stronger actuator in it, obviously for the increased boost levels. Now, mods wise, this is where it gets really interesting. There's not much under the hood here to report on. Factory intercooler, HKS piping kit, HKS RS intake and mushroom filter. While the cage was getting done, Adelaide Motorsport Fab did a CAMS approved catch can that you can see here. Sinks all the way down with the drain at the bottom, and then we had to remote feed the filter up to the top there to gain some room. Turbo compact blow-off valve, purely for the factory one was leaking. Couldn't find an MR1 at the time, so that's why we ended up with that. Full River HC20 battery, I believe, on an Aerofo mount. Look, mate, that battery right there should power motorbikes and scooters, not a full car. I've been so incredibly impressed with it on how it started this car, kept the car going, and how good it helps itself along. From there, a dual kill switch kit, one for the outside of the car, God forbid anything were to happen, at least an official can pull it, and then one for inside the cabin. Now, suspension-wise, coming to the top, they're a bit dusty there, but yet again, more locally made parts. Super Shock Tarmac damper coilovers. From there, they were designed by a few rally people here in Adelaide with this company who make like military shocks, V8 supercar shocks for the series, a very well-known brand. So it was a bit of a no-brainer to go them in the process. Still on suspension underneath the car that you will not be able to see. Every single bush front to back has been replaced with the Rally Art Nolithane style bushes. The reason why we didn't go hard, like solid mounting bushes, is it's an old chassis. It needs to move. And I've never been a big fan of the solid bushes, and especially in something that is going on road surfaces, we need to have the flex and play in it to be able to have some feel in it. Rally Art engine mount inserts. What else? So front diff wise, it's a M Factory 1.5 way front diff. That itself has been one of the biggest improvements on the car, and I had a lot of friends say that to me over the time and saying, do the diff before anything else, won't regret it. But it's just such a big job on these Evos, and when they're not broken, you don't really want to pull them apart and start doing other stuff to them. So that there has just improved the cornering immensely, and would recommend anyone changing their diff to a 1.5 way in the front. Brand wise, obviously M Factory is just the best bang for buck, and I've had no dramas with it. Moving back from there, it's got an extreme twin plate clutch there, and pretty standard from a twin plate. It's actually very drivable. It's not too on and off. And then gearbox wise, from there, full factory 5-speed, but it's had a bit of magic from Sam Neat and the boys down at Neat's Gearboxes here in Adelaide. They are known a lot for their work on their diffs and gearboxes regards to motorsport scenes. Moving to the rear of the car, still Super Shock Tarmac damper coilovers in the rear. From their white line rear sway bar that you might not be able to see. I might try to get under the car. Oh, there you go, yep. So white line rear sway bar, hard race rear lower LCAs. The reason why we went the actual full arm instead of replacing them with just a Rally Art bush was it was actually more efficient to replace the whole arm with their bushes in the arm than it was actually repress an old arm with bushes in it. Plus, the arm's a lot stronger and can take a lot more punishment. From here, exhaust-wise, it's a 3-inch stainless steel exhaust all the way through. No cats, a couple of resonators, and that is it for the rear of the car. Factory rear diff as well, so it's still factory AYC. Look, everyone has a pro and con with that kind of thing. You can't say it's one. It's a personal preference, and I don't mind the AYC, but I know the car would be a lot quicker without it. Otherwise, that and then from there, a true 3-inch stainless steel dump pipe as well. Power-wise, makes 194 kilowatts at about 17, 18 pounder boost. Doesn't make overly much power, but it makes enough. But it's all in the suspension, tyre setup, and everything else that we've got in the car to make it a really competitive little. All right, guys, well, what I'll do is I'll give it a quick turn on as well. So let's head around to the front. Always cautious of a car that has electrical accessories to keep turning it on and off when I haven't got a jump pack on me. Alrighty, well, let's jump in. sad to see the Evo go. It's been probably the most favourite car of mine I've owned over all the Nissans, Toyotas, everything. It's just timing at the moment. Can't help it, but market is super strong for JDM cars at the minute. And I'm just lucky enough that the price was very good to let it go for. The new owner is Adelaide based, so from here he will use it in events. He plans to actually give it a bit of a birthday with some cleanup items in the engine bay as well as on the inside and outside, so you will see it at events here in Adelaide. From there, I've got to wait for about 12 months before I can start really making some videos on the new car that will potentially be arriving. It's due to obviously the year of the car. We've got to wait for some classes to allow that as a maximum year to enter because it is a current model car. Once that's done, I'm going to start, there'll be a lot more in-depth build videos from there, and we'll pump them up. Other than that, I have got some other videos coming in the works at the moment, not on an Evo though, so it's something way of left field, but you'll just have to stay tuned for them. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, throw some comments in the section below. If there's any questions about the car, yell out. I'm an open book. Got all the time in the world to be able to answer them now. I don't have a car, so from there, guys, enjoy, appreciate your time, and catch you.